Saturday.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Sapo Studios Scratch Track Sunday, is it? We've got a surprise pop-up show here for you today with a very good friend of mine, Yuta Okamura.
That's right. Welcome.
Thank you.
We are showing up on a Sunday. It's so crazy that we're here not on a Saturday that ASAP forgot to introduce himself.
Yeah,
forgot to introduce
special.
me.
It's
his
special.
head's
It's
all over the
special.
place. This is ASAP Froggy, aka
Hello.
Shaiba
Hello.
Poofs, King Dingaling, if you speak Arabic, aka David Gabriel, my beautiful co-host. I am Bingus Frog, aka I don't know what else you'd call me besides
Mr.
Dave.
Goldman.
Mr. Goldman, yeah. And we are Sapo Studios.
Yes.
Our goal is to bring the majority of profits and ownership rights back into the hands of artists in a world dominated by corporations. We show up every Saturday at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time here on Twitter, now known as X, and you can catch our replays on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Instagram, Twitter, wherever you ingest your media. Go to sapostudios.xyz and you'll catch all of our stuff. As Dave said, we have a very special guest in studio today, Yuta Okamura. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah,
man.
absolutely,
so much to
man.
see you guys. Yeah.
So, really cool. Dave and Yuta met when they were filming for Omar Miller. Omar was putting together. Am I allowed to say that?
Yeah, totally.
Oh, okay.
Totally.
I felt like I got to look.
No.
Okay.
I was listening to you talk, man.
Okay,
I was
cool.
embraced by the
Yeah,
story.
sometimes I can't tell. You
Yeah.
know, I misconstrue some of the looks. Of you.
Yeah, no, it's really cool, man. I remember the first day I met Yuta in Paris, which was really awesome.
yeah.
But so Omar is an actor who I'm sure you've seen on the show Ballers on HBO. He was in 8 Mile with Eminem. He was in
Ballers
the
with The Rock.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie as Raphael, the voice of Raphael. So he's I mentioned Ballers. He's been in a ton of things, and we hope to have him on the show soon. But he was putting together a travel show where he essentially went around the world. And it was for the Tennis Channel, and he was talking to different entertainers that were going to these tennis matches and kind of...
It's a lot about food.
Yeah, just being on the scene, and it was about culture and tennis and food, and it was a really cool thing to watch. And I guess the two of you were hired as cinematographers for that. Is that right?
yes.
So how did he find you? Because as far as I know, you're from Japan, and you do a lot of your cinematography in Japan. So how did you even get on Omar's radar?
So I went to USC Film School, and right after my graduation, I had 1 year permit to work in United States. And that time, I kind of trying to create my portfolio, and also I didn't want to go back to Japan. I want to stay here because I think LA, United States,
It's like the Mecca.
amazing place. I love this creativity and the people so passionate about film and the art and the music, everything. So I wanted to stay here, apply my visa. That time I was looking for management people. Then one of the guy actually introduced me to Omar, because Omar was creating new show back to like 15 years ago, maybe 10 years ago. That time we started having a web episode on YouTube.
That was for
that was
Weekend Fix.
Yeah, he was pitching the idea to Esquire, and we made like
a pitch
pilot,
package,
pitch and pilot kind of 5 minutes, 10 minutes kind of sizzle, and that was the first time I meet Omar.
Were you always interested in film from the time you were a little kid?
Yeah,
Yeah,
because I was the kind of guy loves the movie, grew up watching the movie.
Do you remember? Because for me, when I decided I wanted to be an actor and be involved in the films, the first movie that really made me feel that way was Ace Ventura with Jim Carrey. I'm watching this guy, and he's so silly, so ridiculous, and it was like everyone's laughing in the movie theater, and I was like, I want to be that guy.
Yes.
Do you have a moment that you remember from when you were young that maybe you were watching some movie and you said, "This is what I want to do"?
Yeah. So I watched Godzilla.
Godzilla. Okay.
when I was 3 and 4 years old.
Yeah.
Godzilla always come to the city and breaks the city, right?
Yeah, destroys everything.
Yeah. So I live in the city called Fukuoka. That's the south part of Japan.
Okay.
That was the place the new Godzilla came to my
shit.
city. And so I was
That would scare me as a kid.
Yeah, like I was very little, and going to the movie theater is kind of special.
Yeah.
Because my family, we don't go to movie theater once a year.
Okay.
And going to the movie theater, we arrived at theater before the movie started, and my mom told me, kind of Godzilla is taking less right now, so we have to wait 30 minutes or something. Like I was thinking, what does it mean? Like waiting 30 minutes, Godzilla comes out. What does it mean? Actually, Godzilla, because I know this is a movie, right?
Right.
But also,
Godzilla's going to come and break everything in 30
what?
minutes from now.
And the movie started, and the city or place I live was in the movie.
Right, you're
And
seeing
just
it on the
Godzilla
screen.
stop on the screen. What the fuck? Then I became really big fan of Godzilla because it's just cool.
Right.
And I started learning actually Godzilla is coming from original one is coming from 1954. It's only like 9 years after World War II. And Godzilla is originated from, kind of post-trauma of World War II. Because, I don't want to say like United States or Japan, war situation. I don't want to talk about it. But it's more about...
That was a bad situation?
about
Yeah, we probably shouldn't talk about that.
no. What I'm trying to say is that I start to find out a lot of social issue story behind the Godzilla.
Okay.
Not
Right.
only like a monster film. It's
Right.
actually Godzilla represent
A little bit of a political commentary.
political commentary.
There's
and
underlying
also
meaning.
Underlying meaning, which you don't want to talk on the face, but if you use a monster or different genre film, you can actually talk more about.
Sure.
Even like I was 3 or 4 years old watching that movie, and I learned about atomic bomb and Tokyo got all wiped up. I start to recognize a lot about war, which is my grandma generation. And as a movie lover, I felt it's really like kind of art form using the movie as a symbol. And Godzilla, probably now the 70 years, they keep making it. And we understand what's Godzilla, where it's coming from. But it's monster movie. So I kind of felt it's amazing, having that kind of historical or cultural or, kind of giving the message to the generation by generation.
And that's something that I recognize that kind of thing in some films, but that never would have really occurred to me about Godzilla. And that's an amazing story.
And especially at a young age. Like,
Yeah.
or did it take you time to figure that out? Or
Well,
that was just
I was kind of curious about that too. Did someone, maybe one of your parents, point out to you, look, this is kind of a parallel story that kind of tells another story if you pay attention, or is that something that you put together?
I was kind of reading the book about all Godzilla.
Okay.
Also, I was very into.
Oh, you were super into Godzilla.
Yeah,
You're reading the book. You're watching the movie.
Oh, that was your email address too.
Yeah, that's
Wasn't-
my high school.
yeah.
His whole identity.
Yeah, my high school email, Gmail, my first email address. I
Well,
put
what is it?
Man, I don't
maybe
wanna
we're not
say
going to say what your
It's
email
so
is on
hard
the
to
show,
say,
but
man.
still,
Like,
it's yeah, we'd be like,
come on,
we'd be
man.
like
Yeah,
in
yeah,
Paris
yeah,
and
yeah,
be like
yeah.
emailing
Man,
Godzilla.
I should change it. I should change it.
That's okay. I still have an old email with Jack Black's
Yeah, I
name
know,
in it.
I
It's
know.
ridiculous. Oh, I must have emailed you from it.
Crazy.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
But I feel like that takes a lot of like intelligence and like from a perspective of how you view art now. How does that apply to how you work? Like, do you find political things to put into your films and your documentaries that you talk about?
Yes, I think political elements. I think I got aware about political or cultural or history elements like when I was a kid, maybe. Because one of the reasons, maybe not because of reading book, I was more into behind the scene. I don't want to talk about Godzilla too much, but I couldn't believe there's a job
Right.
making the movie.
Right.
Yeah.
And
And at that point, what was your? So you talk about behind the scenes, but what was your main interest? Did you know that yes, I want to be the one filming that, or I want to maybe create the monster, or something, and then you leaned into something else?
I was
what
so
did you
excited, of course, soccer player, baseball player, everything cool. But to me, making movie is so much fun and freedom, and even cannot believe this is a job.
Yeah.
And explosion, wearing the monster suits, or acting out, making comedy, making drama, filming. I was just so inspired, and I want to do it, and that's how it started.
And did your parents encourage that, or were they not really?
No, I mean, because my family is not like into film or like art background, so. I didn't have a camera to film or anything.
That's what I was going to ask. Like,
so
did you go get a camera at that point, or what'd you do?
When I grew up, I just draw a lot of, manga or comic or
Essentially
everything.
storyboarding.
Storyboard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I learned it's actually come from storyboard. So every movie, I love the movie. I love most of them. Director draws the storyboard. So I was thinking, okay, I also want to do the storyboard because this is kind of movie. So I started to draw the storyboard.
And you're actually a great drawer too.
I love drawing. I love
I've seen
painting
your
and drawing.
there.
Yeah, that was my childhood, always doing. And when I got more, let's say middle school, high school, I started loving make a movie, but I didn't have a camera. So I always talk to friends who has a camera, or school. You kind of pitch the idea, you want to shoot a film or something.
Do you remember the first one that you worked on?
Yeah. So
what was that about?
I kind of trick them because I'm not sure U.S. you guys have the same one, but we have like a cultural festival in Japan.
Okay.
Same as sports.
Mm-hmm.
So you make something, you make art, you make a project. So I created the project as a film, and you have to make something educational. So I chose the language, but I created a story not using language, but showing like a visual story.
Oh, just
so
visual.
I just
the power of not using language.
Yes.
To show the importance of language. That's good.
Then they let me, use a camera and with a crew, with a team, with a friend.
And so for a lot of people, when they make their first project and then years later they're much more accomplished, they look back and they say, "Oh, that was shit."
Yeah.
What do you think? Thinking back to that first project, was it good, or are you kind of like, it was the beginning, and I
Because if I criticize my movie, maybe I could do better. Or how much I'm as an artist and a filmmaker, how much I'm growing up, but also I have a lot of excitement each project.
Yeah.
So kind of that's a baby, like
right.
Man, that was a great time.
Right.
And so after you made that first film, were people excited about it, and that kind of sparked you wanting to do it more?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then what was your first kind of exposure to working in a professional way in the film industry?
Professionally, probably working with Omar.
Okay.
Also, before coming to here after high school, I got short job for editing work, and I never get any money as doing this, and I just edited, spending 1 month to another like short documentary. And the director just gave me the cash. Thank you so much. Then that moment, I was very surprised. Oh man, I just got the money doing.
Right. Yeah, I got money doing something I love. That's an amazing feeling.
Yeah, but professional probably Omar probably. First,
so with respect to like USC and film school, you talk about that your parents weren't necessarily they weren't film people. They weren't into the arts. In that way. So when you decided to go to USC for film, what was their thought?
First,
were they like, "What are you doing?"
And I didn't do well at the high school, and probably same as here. If you wanna live, you kind of need to go college That kind of fucked up, system as a, But I lived in countryside, local area, suburban place. So I want to make a movie, but I wasn't that good at the high school. So I kind of having a dream to make a movie. If I have a shot, I want to study abroad. But I didn't study English, and there's no way. So, my parents were supportive, but, also kind of question about my study.
Right. Like, how are you going to do this?
So, like, how did you get to, like, how did you get accepted? How'd you get there?
It's man,
because that's an inspiring story. I feel like, like it's almost like against odds. Like you're saying you did do good.
At that point, when you were applying, you knew no English.
No English.
That's
but I went to Santa Monica College first for a year and a half, and I transferred to USC.
Okay.
So before coming here, I didn't know any English. So I went to 1 year English school, and that time I was taking class in Tokyo, and my parents told me, if you didn't do well, you're gonna come back and work at the factory or work at the farming.
Oh, so you were like, "There's no way. I got to do really well."
I'm not gonna go back. I'm not gonna go back.
Did you go or come here with anybody that you knew? Or
Yes,
you just came by yourself?
I know a couple of the friends from the same English school. Yes.
Cool. So at least you weren't like by yourself.
Not
and, like,
by myself.
I feel like that would be intense.
Oh, yes,
but
yes.
still, even if you had at least you had some people that you could confide in. And
yeah. So first 2 years were very challenging to me, to adapt and start English.
You're very brave. That's scary. I mean, to go to a country where you don't know the language, even if you're chasing a dream and going after what you want to do for the rest of your life. I mean, I can't imagine the other way around, going to Tokyo, not knowing a word of Japanese and trying to, figure out not only speaking the language, but then working with people in their native language to do this thing that I love.
For the
amazing.
purpose of following a dream, which I think is...
So I felt excitement and, pursuing dream is more strong to me
than the fear.
Because I even didn't know I could come to United States. I couldn't feel, I never thought it's actually possible. So,
but you said, I'm just going to go for it and we'll see what happens.
Yeah. So,
amazing.
Excitement.
Unbelievable. So you work on the first Omar project, which what did you say the name of that was?
Advantage Omar.
No. There was something before that.
Weekend Fix.
Weekend Fix.
Yeah.
Yes. So Weekend Fix, and then Omar basically pivoted into doing another pilot where he was doing the Tennis Channel thing. That's where the two of you met.
Yes.
And then, so what were each of you doing on that show? Were you both actually filming and also editing, or was one of you filming and the other was editing?
We shared both, like filming and editing. Yeah.
You were kind of like leading the editing, and I sort of like... There was a lot on your plate, and I saw that there was a lot on your plate, so I kind of said, hey, man, like, I know how to edit, too. Like, I'll help. I learned a tremendous amount from you on that time together. Like, it upped my level of how I thought about shooting, how I thought about editing.
Definitely it was a challenging situation because we are filming every day, probably 3 to 4 locations, and we have a deadline probably next week, and we are airing on TV, and we are in Paris. To me, it was first time.
Yeah, that sounds like a high pressure situation.
Yeah, so
must have been a lot of
only
late nights.
2 of us.
Yeah.
A lot of very late nights, huh?
It was so
and
fun.
early
It
mornings.
was so fun. Yeah.
It was quite learning experience.
And this is so amazing how Omar trusted us and let's do it.
And what's really
amazing.
fantastic also is this idea that, you kind of just on a hope and a dream, you come to the U.S. and you say, I'm going to do this thing because it seems like something that would be so wonderful to be a part of. And then not only do you get this opportunity to work with Omar and create this thing, but now you're traveling across the country and across the world with him to do this thing. What are you giggling about over there? I've heard some of the stories, so I know that there was a lot of
awesome experiences, man.
Yes,
yeah.
Excitement.
Yeah, a lot of stuff you probably don't want to talk about on the air.
It's just like going out to eat like a steak dinner together in Paris.
Well,
like,
it's interesting that you should mention going out to eat because I heard a lot about this guy in the per diem. It was very.
You talked to Terry about the per diem.
I talked to Terry. It's very important that Dave has his per diem. Let me tell you something. Forget the day rate. If Dave doesn't have his meals covered, he's not doing the job. Okay, and this is a smart man. Let me tell you something,
man. Also, I think Omar and Terry spoiled us because they are I don't want to say they're foodies, but they enjoyed to eat good food and liked going to nice places, and we were just exposed to some interesting parts of the world and
Hey Omar, I need a job, man. these gigs sound great. I want to go around the country and get a per diem too. So whenever you get a chance,
But that's not to short the workload. There was a lot of work that went into it, and I also learned a lot from Omar and Terry about storytelling during that of how to tell stories. I learned a lot from everybody on that. So I think it was super interesting to meet you, man. In Paris, then our second time meeting was in London.
So when you first started to kind of do this professionally here, and you're kind of just learning the language, was that difficult to be able to communicate with other people that you were working with and to be able to perform the jobs?
Yes.
And can you kind of walk me through what that was like and how you got over that? Is it just a matter of time and learning more? Or?
I think this city, Los Angeles, most of the artists having a dream and coming from different background. Some people have a good intention. Some people having a lot of ego. A
lot of ego here and a lot of bad intentions.
That part probably I didn't know before coming here. So yes, language barrier is huge. But when you make a movie, basically what you do is kind of same. So even I don't speak English well, I kind of understand what's going on.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, it's very difficult to understand what's everyone thinking and what's everyone's intention. So that was more challenging to me. Yeah.
And but you're almost talking from not only a creative standpoint, but where they're creating from.
Yes.
A weird and that's what I learned from you and respected about you is you were very methodical in how you created and why you created what you created and why you did what you did.
Yeah.
And why where did that come from, or how do you explain to somebody where you create from?
Maybe how I grew up, maybe. Yeah. If I say if there's a two reasons, maybe one reason is I really into learning history of society, and not as an educational way, maybe more like a curiosity. And second reason is also I moved a lot when I was a kid because of my family. When I was a kid, I moved around a different state 3 times, 4 times. So every time I go to different place, how kids live and how kids talk, all environment is different. So I kind of trying to figure out or understand what's going on. Maybe that's probably shaped me to think especially for film, I believe movie have a lot of responsibility because back at the time movie used for the propaganda.
Yeah.
And it has powerful tool. It
Absolutely.
Have a music, visual, everything.
Even when you think about the fact that from such an early age watching Godzilla that you can maybe not even realizing get some of these political messages, right? Because of the way that the story is being told. And so that's really powerful that can even happen for a kid. That's huge.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So with respect to cinema, what do you think is, well, actually, first of all, when you were initially getting into film, you talk about Godzilla and, when you spoke about that, you then referenced the 50s version. So I assume the version that you went to see with your mom, that was the American version that they made, right?
Oh, that's still Japanese version.
Oh, it was still the Japanese version. So
I watched the American version, of course.
okay. But did you grow up on Japanese cinema?
Yeah, a lot.
So what was the biggest difference when you came to the U.S. and you were kind of adapting to the way people did things here? Because I imagine, while, even though when you talk about the language barrier that you've done the job before and you've seen how sets work, so you know the position and you can kind of gather what's going on, there still must be differences in the way that people work and how things are put together.
Yeah. I love a lot of Hollywood film. I grew up watching golden age Hollywood film like George Lucas, Steven Spielberg, Martin Scorsese, Coppola. That era, I love
the greats.
Greats. That's always I feel like I seen the window and kind of watching the world I never been, and I running from the movies and amazing movies. I grew up all of those movies. I kind of felt, great time of Japanese movie is more like 1960 to 1970. Those era is more blooming Japanese film. Of course, still we have a good movie still now, but if you think more like history, 1960 is good Japanese film. So when I was growing up watching movie, Hollywood film is more, cool
Right.
to me. Amazing.
Yeah.
And so coming here for me is like Hollywood film. It's there's a system. Also, there's a way of the thinking how to create the art, not only following the rule and how to create something new, which really opened my mind.
And when you were learning cinema from being at USC and then working on sets, what do you think is there one single piece of information that you think is one of the most important things you learned that kind of brought you to the next level at some point?
I think sound really.
What about sound? How important it is
how
to the film?
important sound is very unconscious. How you use the sound to create a rhythm and space and audience attention.
Absolutely.
It really, educated me a lot.
Yeah. And I think, even as filmmakers, we can sometimes take some of those things for granted, especially if, you're someone that's more used to being behind the camera and not so much with the sound equipment. But I'll tell you something. When we shot one of the trailers that we shot, when we shot Backward Boys, the sound when the first cut of the project came out versus the sound after, what was his name, Todd? Yeah, after Todd had mixed it.
Todd from New York from
it was unbelievable.
Yes.
And
unbelievable.
I thought initially in a very naive way, I thought like, how much is this really going to do once he mixes it? And then I watched it again and I'm like, oh my God, this went from being kind of like a student film feel to this is like a movie, and it really, the sound is so important.
Yes.
And there's a movie that just came out on Netflix not too long ago, Society of the Snow.
Oh, yes. The amazing movie.
Beautiful movie.
movie.
It was an Argentinian movie about those
Amazing
guys that
film.
came from Uruguay going to Chile.
Yes.
On
the
the
plane
airplane.
goes down,
Yeah.
and then they have to survive in the elements. And that's a movie that I would actually love to see in theaters because you can tell watching that even at home, the sound is so integral to the feeling. It's giving me chills right now when I think about it. To the feeling that they want to capture and give to the audience. It's wild.
Yes.
But yeah, that is huge in terms of cinema, and it's something that can definitely be taken.
I think another thing that we talk a lot about on this show is the freelance lifestyle and like how difficult it is.
Yes.
And like I think you've knock on wood, it's been like a test of time that like you've stuck in the freelance world like to be successful. Like what piece of advice would you give to any freelance person that's starting? Especially in a place like Los Angeles.
I think starting companies as a way, probably. I didn't grow up like, startup or, company oriented myself. But I think, as you guys too, like working as a team is really important, especially
rather
for
than
film.
just being the single guy.
Just single guy.
I go do this all myself. Yeah.
Because, film is art. And I believe art is always coming from within yourself. And so feel like you're from home and presenting something to the world is, I think, important. You can do as yourself, but also having the team as a studio, let's say studio or company. And right now, company, you can support each other and calling people to your company. I think starting company is really good idea, especially, here or younger generation. Yeah.
There are a lot of creators that have a passion project that they've thought of since the time that they started creating. That, I've wanted to tell a story about this character for 10 years, 15 years. Is there any story that you've always really wanted to tell that you hope to one day be able to put together a film about, or even a documentary?
What's
to tell
your
that
avatar?
Story? Yeah, what's your yes, James Cameron? What's your no? But what do you have some kind of passion project in the back of your mind that at some point I would love to do this?
Yeah, my dream is making a movie here, but first I also want to make a movie in Japan, because last 3 to 4 years I was in Japan. During COVID, I really saw like something I need to talk about, not literal way, like more
something that you needed to take that was happening in the world and speak about it through the art of film.
Yes, and my style probably I like more genre mix, so I want to create more not the monster movie, more like mixing of the genre. That's my passion, I think. First I want to shoot something in Japan. And hopefully, shooting here. I love filming everywhere in the world, but I kind of feel now it's important to tell the story from myself.
Is it difficult to be able to come back and forth and to film? Because you talked about initially that you had the permit to be able to come here for school. Since you've now been working professionally in both places, how easy is it for you to take a job here and be able to travel back and forth freely?
I think it's not that easy, especially lifestyle is very different. And, I love here. So, how to say? I think opportunity is very important.
But I mean, even past the difficulties of just acclimating to the difference in lifestyle, the difference in the time of day and the time change and jet lag and all of that stuff, is it actually, do you have to apply for and do a lot of paperwork every time that you want to come here, or is it a lot of red tape?
You need a visa. That's pretty a lot to Some people say it's so easy, and some people say it's kind of stressful. I see. Yeah, that's mandatory. You have to do. Yeah.
And that hasn't stood in the way of you. It doesn't seem to have stood in the way of you doing any.
Yeah, I'm reapplying again. I used to have, but after COVID, I kind of stopped too, because it costs money. So I kind of push back. So now I'm doing it.
Did you find that there was a major slowdown in work through COVID, or?
Yes. Yeah, a lot. I think here.
Everywhere.
Totally. Yeah,
and I wonder if that had you rethinking your career at all, because for I know a lot of musicians, for instance, that we've spoken to, they kind of went through this period of some of them took it as an opportunity to lock all the doors and just create, and they kept going with it, and others were kind of at this crossroads of, wow, the world is shut down, nobody's interested in anything right now. Do I even want to be doing this anymore?
Yeah.
How did you feel?
I was pretty optimistic about the situation, what's, COVID, how world is going, but more about myself, probably more like my emotional, because, like staying at the home and don't have a job that much, you have your own time, you have to see yourself.
Easy to get depressed.
Yeah. So it wasn't good.
No, it wasn't a good time for anyone. I think, no, and it's true. I mean,
obviously it was not a good time.
And that's kind of what I'm asking. It's like, how do you get through that and say, this?
Yeah,
I know.
Still going to keep going.
Yeah, I'm going to keep going. I know.
You didn't go to the factory.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I guess the threat of going to the factory is what keeps you going during those times.
You didn't go to the farm. You didn't go to the factory. So what kept you with it then, right? Is during those times of like questioning yourself.
Yeah, I started to write, and I actually just heat the oil and just keep making it.
Okay, so you kind of, you were working for other people, and that gave you an opportunity to explore a little bit of personal creativity.
Yes, but very much indie. Like I felt like very much everything doing myself kind of situation. Then that was very like I felt like I became a student again, like shaping like a skill and
having shot for so many different professional things now and for so many different people. Do you feel like because of how much you love film, you get the same enjoyment out of shooting for other people as you do when you do your own projects? Mm-hmm. Or is there such more fulfillment that comes from doing your own things?
Of course, doing my own project is different because language, voice is coming from myself. But working on other person's project is also excitement because I always think what's the connection, what I can serve and what I can do with a film and what other want to do. And that's always excitement.
I wonder because, again, just to kind of go back to your parents who weren't necessarily into the arts in this way and didn't exactly know what you were thinking when you don't really speak the language and you're trying to get into this business in another country. Seeing how much you've done here, back in Japan, I know that you recently went to Sundance. I mean, you've done a lot of great things now. Are they proud? Because they must be, or do they kind of like? They appreciate what you're doing, but they don't really get it. Because I know that can sometimes be the case, too, when you're dealing with another culture. They just don't get it.
Maybe culturally, we maybe in Japan, we don't say like, oh, congratulations. My family not very low-key, maybe. And also, even Sundance, it's hard to explain, actually. People don't know.
Right.
And my hometown, a couple of people who love the movie, oh, Sundance, oh, congratulations. But my family, couple of the family member, what is this? Did you win?
You didn't win, huh?
So why are you telling me?
Off to the factory.
Carting them off.
But not like a not like a bad intention, more like just
just questioning.
Just questioning.
Yeah.
Yes,
not bad intention.
Not like you're not you're not doing anything.
You're a failure. Yeah.
Yeah, kind of not that kind of way. It's more like
As someone that was a student of the classic filmmakers like you were talking about, Spielberg and Scorsese. Is there a newer filmmaker over the last 10 years, whether it be an American filmmaker or a Japanese filmmaker that you've seen that you're like, wow, this person is really doing amazing things in the industry and it inspires something in me?
Yes, Ari Aster, Daniels.
Who's that? Say it again.
Daniels, Everything Everywhere All at Once. Ari Aster, Hereditary. Robert he make I forgot. Robert Edgar. He made a Lighthouse.
Robert Edgar.
Yeah, he made a
The Lighthouse.
Lighthouse, yes.
With Willem Dafoe.
Yes.
Yeah, the black and white movie.
Yes.
I have to see that. I haven't seen that, but it was up for an Oscar.
I kind of feel like now is blooming
in cinema.
Yeah, like especially A24 or indie film.
A24 is unbelievable.
It's amazing. Like,
unbelievable.
I feel
what's really amazing about them is that there's so many production companies that take a direction where it's like all of their stuff is going to be one type of thing. Mm-hmm. They have managed to make everything feel like an A24 movie, but it spans every genre.
Yeah, because
it's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's so much director driven. You kind of feel authority is coming from director, not
studio
factory. Yeah,
right. Yeah,
of course, there's a lot of good movie from, of course, but I feel like same excitement we used to watch like 1970s, new wave, Hollywood new wave. I kind of feel same energy.
We're
coming
in
out.
it.
Yeah. I mean, and it's interesting because there's been like one or two films here and there over the last couple of years like that was great, but there is like a sense of like, okay, there are several films populating at the same time now that maybe there is a new uprising in cinema.
We're in a new golden age.
Yeah, because I think streaming is of course big reason, I think, but also probably creator or filmmaker is also coming from we grew up watching a lot of different medium, international film, Hollywood film, anime, or all different hip hop. We grew up like a lot of variety.
Exposed to a lot
a
of
lot of
If you think about our generation specifically, it's amazing what we've seen in terms of the evolution of everything.
Right.
You know what I mean? And when you talk about
I was kind of thinking about that today on the drive here, actually, about like what are we gonna what's to come. Like, what are we going to see in the next?
But even beyond what's to come, like seeing, every form of technology go from like, we saw the fax machine and we saw, go to like sending like texts and emails and all of that shit. And like, we saw the initial downloading with like Napster and like things
dial-up,
56K modems.
Yeah.
Like, a kid today wouldn't know what a 56K is, or like that sound that like everyone knew what that was, but like
there's like dads using the internet
but
again.
There's and then we saw like it go from VHS to DVD to now everything is streaming. It's amazing the advancements in technology that we've seen from start to finish over the course of
we're just starting to see AI.
And we're just starting
to see like the brink.
Well, and that's a good thing to bring up. I wonder what is your opinion on AI, because there are a lot of artists and creators that are scared of it or upset with it. I actually, we've started to post our videos on TikTok, and so one of our guests recently was talking about AI and how it can be a very powerful tool, and somebody watched the video and they got all upset. And they've been arguing with me for like 2 weeks now, and they're saying, this is so bad for artists and people in the art industry, and there's no way in which this is not a bad idea. Even if you use it as a tool, you're taking people's jobs, you're taking away the creative part of the process. How do you feel about it?
I think AI is great too, but also I'm it's actually asking a lot of questions to myself. Like, AI is, I'm not professional AI, the background, so I cannot talk that much about AI. But
I am,
AI,
so I'll tell you whatever you're talking.
But AI is the, I don't want to say number, but AI is calculating the all human resource, which we all have in the past.
Right.
So creating the image or creating the, any poet or essay or script, even coming from what we had before, and which we are always doing in our brain, using the word. But I believe human being is not only word driven. A lot of coming from our feeling, guts.
Your spirit.
We have a spirit.
Right.
Art sometimes comes from your spirit more than calculating or thinking about, what would be good or what would be bad. As a writing, if you're a writer, when you're writing, even you have a plan or something, you have an intention, something new coming up from your mind. It's not about thinking or calculating. It's more about your gut. Especially music. When you're playing the music, I'm not a musician, but I kind of feel, even playing the music, how you feel, how your body reacts, create a new music. I think that's art. So,
and it's like you're talking about an element that we spoke about on the show, which is like being a vessel for almost like downloading something from
like something spiritual takes over your body,
art just
from the universe.
Even camera, when
AI
you're filming, you kind of feel the moment, and of course you can plan everything. Okay, what kind of lens you use, how many millimeter, where to put. But when you're filming, you kind of react to what's happening in front of you. Then change. I feel that kind of special moment is art.
Yeah.
Then now AI, at least right now, AI is to me is as a result oriented. Very much, I want to see this, click it, results show up. But I feel, art is more about process.
Yeah.
And those processes.
This is the best answer that I think I've ever heard.
Well,
seriously, that's what, dude. Like your perspective.
Yeah,
on
it's all about
things.
him being so comprehensive about everything in the way he approaches things.
Right, and that's why I learned so much from you about like how to make a project or like why I edit something the way I edit something is literally because of you. Like,
yeah, it's really really smart
because I think we right now our generation or all of the society are really much result oriented. We are trying to get this type of image. Okay, let's type in. The result comes up. But as a painting, everything, it's not result actually. It's about process.
What is that saying? The process. It's the.
It's not the end goal. It's about the process,
but there's something. There's a more eloquent way of saying it. It's the journey. The journey is the reward. Yeah, it's something along those lines. But it's the something is the process is the progress is the process. It's another P word. I don't know. But yes, I agree with you. And there are so many parts of the process that you should be enjoying if this is truly your passion and why you're doing the art to begin with. Unless you're just trying to do it to make a paycheck, and then it's like, well, that's not art.
And yes, I agree.
Yeah.
And also, I believe AI open up a lot of possibility. Because let's say, if I translate from Japanese to English to Japanese, it takes so much time. But now, I don't have to call a translator. I just use AI. It's amazing tool, amazing support.
And also,
painting everything. Yeah.
One of the arguments that I made when I was going back and forth with this guy is that, I'm not someone that has any artistic ability when it comes to drawing. So when you said you sat down and did the storyboarding, I would love to be able to do that, but mine would come out with like stick figures and no one would know what they were looking at. So for me to be able to imagine how I'd like to direct a project and what shots that I'd like to put into something, and to be able to not worry about hiring an artist or, learning how to draw over the course of the next 5 to 10 years, it's nice to be able to lean on AI and say, okay, it's not that I'm neglecting this part of the process or I wouldn't enjoy it. I'm just not capable of that right now. And if I want to put this thing together, at least to a certain respect myself, I need tools.
Yes. Then you can focus on your specialty, like acting or writing or So I think AI is great. Like it's open.
It's just going to afford us more opportunities.
Yes.
But I don't think it can replace the state of being that you're talking about.
No, the spirit and the soul of the project
that you enter when you create.
No, and I think that was Yuta's point, is that like
super interesting.
There are a lot of people that are so upset that you just the AI is just going to pump out a script. Yeah, it may do that, but it's not going to feel the same, and it's not going to give you that same sense of someone put their blood, sweat, tears, and soul into this project. You're not going to get that.
Right.
We still have a motorcycle. We have a motorcycle. We have a car. We have a bicycle. But there's still people who love riding horse.
Yeah.
It's different. But the actual mobility wise, it's kind of same.
Yeah.
In going to some of the place.
Listen, you can shoot on digital, but 70 millimeter is still an option.
Yes. So it's not like a replacement. I think it's
just more options.
Yeah, I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's a good place to cap things off. Thank you so much for talking to us. It was super interesting. And I just love the way that you approach things. I love the intention with which you approach your entire career. It's very thoughtful and intelligent and really inspiring.
Thank you.
So thank you so much for breaking that down for us.
Having me. Yeah. Thank you so much.
And when I realized you were in town and that we have a room just at our disposal to shoot, that I was like, man,
this is amazing.
You got to come.
Yeah, and
having conversation it's
a beautiful thing to be able to do this whenever we want. I have to be honest, when I was initially told by Dave that you were around and let's do an interview right the next day, I'm like, damn, I'm tired, man. We're gonna do another one tomorrow. But I know you and I love you, and I know Dave's always got the right idea when he comes up with an idea. He's got a lot of really good instincts. So I'm really glad that he put this together because this was great.
Yeah, man, Yuta, it's awesome to document this with you and share this conversation for you to inspire some other filmmakers to go.
For you to inspire.
Yeah, for you.
All right.
For you to inspire the next generation, man, of golden film age.
Yeah, well, he's inspired us. Yeah. I know that.
And, what you doing inspired me and everybody.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate
amazing.
that.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. We appreciate you, man, very much.
You. Thank you.
Well, that'll do it for another Sapo Saturday, Sunday, Sapo pop-up. If anyone, I don't even... Oh, yeah, we got a couple of listeners.
Yeah.
And Mama Froggy G.
Yeah.
You know, I really love you, Teresa. Thank you so much for listening. That's amazing. It's just wild. She's always there.
Yeah, she's listening.
amazing.
I text her, and I'm sure she loved to hear about Yuta.
I bet. I love to hear about
Yeah.
you. Thank you for everyone that popped into the session today. Really appreciate you. We have been Sapo Studios, and I hope you have a great rest of your week. Until next time, Sapo Studios out.
We appreciate you all.
Thank you. Wow.